Matthew Fox is a former Roman Catholic priest of the Dominican order. He was excommunicated from the Catholic Church several years ago. He's written extensively on creation spirituality, as opposed to the fundamentalist ideas of creationism. And he has written on the idea of the universal cosmic Christ. Fox, like many theologians, historical and contemporary, sees the only future for religion to be in the area of mysticism, a concept that includes and transcends all doctrinal religious boundaries. Matthew Fox says in his book, The Coming of the Cosmic Christ, "The coming together of the historical Jesus and the cosmic Christ will make Christianity whole at last. Christianity has been out of touch with its core, its centre, its mystical practice and cosmic awareness. It has succumbed to a patriarchal mindset that has eroded its worship message and identity and rendered it flat and lifeless." This kind of reclamation, he says, would help diffuse what he calls the distorted religion and pseudo-mystical movement of our time, popularly known as fundamentalism. Part of this work, Fox says, might be to declare an ancient but forgotten doctrine of the cosmic Christ as the pattern that connects all the atoms and galaxies of the universe, a pattern of divine love and justice that all creatures and all human beings bear within them. Christian councils of the 4th and 5th centuries declared that Jesus Christ was both God and human. What is needed, he said, if there is to be any kind of future for the 21st century, is a spiritual vision that prays, celebrates and lives out the reality of a cosmic Christ who lives and breathes in Jesus and in all God's children, in all the prophets of religion everywhere, in all creatures of the universe. The idea of the cosmic Christ is about the sacred and our response to it, the holy omnipresence of the Divine One in all things. The Western term, Fox says, for this image of God as present in all things is the cosmic Christ. The poet Gerald Manley Hopkins put it this way: "In a flash, at a trumpet crash, I am all at once what Christ is, since he was what I am. And this jack joke, poor potsherd, patch, matchwood, immortal diamond is immortal diamond." The Swiss psychoanalyst Carl Jung wrote extensively on this idea of the cosmic Christ, though he did not use that particular term. Jung's own experience of the holy was a lifelong passion, and his approach was to take ancient thought forms that have been historically fixed, to melt them down again and pour them into moulds of immediate experience. Jung differentiated between the historical Jesus, the historical figure from Nazareth, and the archetypal Christ, the Redeemer. This distinction, he said, is essential if Christian symbols are to retain their power to touch the inner depths of the modern person. The Jewish rabbi and reformer, Jesus of Nazareth, lived a personal, concrete, historical life. However, it was the archetypal image of the Redeemer, slumbering, so to speak, in the collective unconscious, which became attached to that unique person and life. This powerful collective image made itself visible, Jung says, in the man, Jesus, so that people glimpsed in him the greater personality that seeks conscious realization in each and every person. Jung reminds us that it was not the man Jesus who created the myth of a God-man. Other Redeemer myths existed many centuries before his birth. It is important, Jung says, to preserve the distinction between the historical Jesus and the archetypal or symbolic Christ. It is important both for individuals and for institutions. For the individual and the archetypal Christ is not limited to one man. Jesus can be seen as the greater potential, the greater personality in every individual. Jung speaks to the necessity of withdrawing our projections from a historical or external Christ figure, Jesus in this situation, if we are to discover experientially the Christ within each of us. He says, "The self or Christ is present in everybody a priori, but as a rule in an unconscious condition to begin with. But it is a definite experience of later life when this fact becomes conscious. It is only real when it happens, and it can happen only when you withdraw your projections from an outward historical or metaphysical Christ and wake up the Christ within you. If Christ remains outside us, either as an example of an ideal or as an external object of worship only, the deeper levels of the soul are never engaged. The result is that religion and religious practice may deteriorate into adherence to rational dogma and trying to follow a set of external rules." As Unitarians at Easter and at other times, may we all be faithful to both the historical Jesus, the man who lived a concrete, personal life, recorded albeit so sketchily within history, and the Christ, the cosmic Christ, the inner Redeemer, the greater personality who slumbers within all of us, whatever our race, religion, or creed. Amen.